The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views or ideas of the staff or management of KWSH or the 110 Broadcast Group.
Istongo Seminole. Jeremy Fultz, Chehochifkados, Mojanetta, Hadamnetta, Hidojan, Pompohoyan, Moen. Besides me, sitting beside me, Unhissidos, Mr. Delaney Pennock, ladies and gentlemen.
Mogata.
We got a lot to cover today. We have a special guest in the studio, the one, the only, the man behind the Did You Know segments, all the facts that's brought to us from the Historic Preservation Office. Mr. Jake Tiger will be joining us today, so we're going to try to get through a lot of the normal stuff that we go through in about 10 minutes, so then that way Jake can come and talk to us a little bit. A lot was going on with our history. You know, on Sunday it was Independence Day, and so Jake's going to come on and talk a little bit about that. But I am going to be your host, Jeremy Fultz, and Boxingi and Hitchkadenita Doanks Mon. Ishtia Morgan, Jin Hitchkadenita Futchki Ojabashji Mon Magof. Aja Futchki, or Aja Fujij Jidonga. So Mado Jigay Dos. That's kind of a tongue twister.
It is.
GJ Jifunga. So, but moving into our Fourth and Eighth Sundays, as we mention every week, some of these churches, they're starting to open back up. Some of them may still be not having services, but if you want to go visit, you might call someone that's over there this weekend, being August the 14th. So the churches having their church services or their Fourth and Eighth Sundays are going to be Agena, Alabama Casati, Belvin Baptist, Cedar Springs, Cold Springs, Hutchijeba, Little Coweta, Little Casati, Mini Springs, Okmulgee Baptist, Prairie Springs, Spring, Wiagofki, West Eufaula, Wiwokoji, and then Yardika. Again, that's August the 14th. Already halfway through the month of August, Delaney.
Yeah, flying.
Dang. And then every week we talk about the ones that have started their journey, and we want to remember the Fixico family, the Harjo families. You know, they had family members that started their journey, and so keep them and their families and their friends in mind. And at this time, we're going to go ahead and pause for a moment of silence. Mado. You know, Delaney, I thought I was not hearing well. I forgot to put my headphones on this morning.
I noticed that, and something changed.
I know. I was like, man, I'm just not hearing good. I couldn't figure it out. Usually I'm used to hearing myself talk, just not as, I guess, not as low as it was today. But now I'm all turned back up and feeling good, and all right, back at it. And so looks like the special call meeting has been, or an agenda has been sent out for August the 18th for the General Council of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. The meeting will be at the Miccosukee Mission Council House. The call to order, again, this will be at 7 p.m. August the 18th. The agenda reads as follows. The call to order, roll call, and prayer, reading of minutes of the last meeting to be addressed at the next scheduled meeting. Unfinished Business, TR 2022-63, sponsored by Karen Fulbright. A tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma approving a one-time distribution from the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 of $500 to each eligible tribal member for the purpose of household assistance in accordance with the state local fiscal recovery funds final rule.
So, new business, TR 2022-77, interviews for General Counsel Secretary, discussion and possible action, executive session, and at Council's discretion.
TR 2022-78, introduced by Finance Committee, a tribal resolution of the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma by the General Counsel budget modifications to the fiscal year 2022 budget for the Public Transit Department.
TR 2022-79, resolution by the General Counsel budget modifications to the fiscal year 2022 budget for the public transit, dialysis transport, updated job descriptions.
And then TR 2022-80 or 80, a tribal resolution by the General Counsel budget modification to the fiscal year 2022 budget for the Transportation Department, prayer and adjournment. And so with the meeting being scheduled, we also have some band meetings being announced. Tazagaya Harjo band meeting Thursday, August the 11th. At 6 p.m. at the Council House, and then also the Seminole Nation Eufaula Band, Tuesday, August 16th at 7 p.m. Special call meeting via Zoom, meeting ID 458-963-1965. The passcode 2BS9EV. That's all located on the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma Facebook page. And so if you have any questions, go check it out there. Or call your local band reps or band chiefs.
All right, Lie Heap cooling assistance is still available. So if you're still in need of an AC unit, give Social Services a call at 405-257-6257.
All right, and then diabetes program, Brown Bag Fitness today between 12:15, 12:45 behind the OAP building or the Senior Citizens building. There in Wewoka, be sure to hydrate. It's still going to be pretty warm out there. And then also, if you had the chance to participate or in the drive-through COVID testing, or if you need to get tested, call ahead to schedule 405-343-3108 and answer a few screening questions. Communications. Looky here.
What do we got?
The Joga Delaney, right there.
We got it. It's out.
It's out.
Go find it.
If it hasn't hit your mailbox yet, I'm sure it's going to be out there. It's some good information in this one, but you know, I kind of like if you go all the way to page 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you go to page 5, you'll see some language stuff in there. So Mado for putting that in there for Smart.
Mado.
So make
Communications.
sure. Yep, and then you can also check out the digital copy of the newspaper if you haven't received it yet on the SNO website, which is sno-nsn.gov. So make sure you go check that out. And if you'd like to subscribe, email your info to seminolemedia@gmail.com.
Give your child a head start. Enrollment is now open. Seminole Nation Head Start and Early Head Start programs. So if you're looking to enroll your children, now's the time.
Good deal. And then also any service members with an honorable discharge. Honor Guard needs some help. Give Rex Haley a call at 405-220-5342. Also, with that, where did
Birthdays.
Yeah, pretty close, isn't it? Also, free Microsoft Excel training. If you're interested in learning Excel, do you need to enhance your computer skills? Would you like to increase your chances for success? Seminole Nation Job Placement and Training is offering free Excel training in Excel 1, 2, and 3 to all Native Americans who live in Seminole County. Class organization begins now, so give them a call at 405-234-5288. That's Miss Emma Wesley Harjo over there.
Chugabaloxi, or what do you want?
Chugabaloxi.
All right, the Chugabaloxi, located in Okemah, will be giving out donations of gently used clothing items for the children. So that's on August 13th. Our friends down there are doing some good things.
Man, I got some clothes in my trunk right now that I'm supposed to be meeting Boscova about. Give some donations over there. But if you have any questions, you can call 539-367-0212. Again, that's going to be on August 13th from 9 to 12. Free, new, gently used clothing. Clothing donations are welcome. There's a lunch going to be at noon. And so, we want to make sure we give all the opportunities to these young ones. And so if they need some clothes, get out there and grab them some overbakers if you need to.
Oh, yeah.
All right. ARPA Clothing Assistance Program applications may be downloaded from the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma website. The disbursement of ARPA Clothing Program will begin July 1 through September 30th, and the Judgment Fund will be accepting the ARPA Clothing applications starting August. Did that come out right, or was my lips going faster than when I was talking? I don't know.
I zoned out.
Okay. The Judgment Fund will be accepting the ARPA Clothing applications starting August 1st and through September 30th. So,
Fluent speakers, haboy dos.
Mm-hmm.
Wana itsadai no wa an wikas. So
405-562-5567. Ask for Delaney.
All right.
And then the Princess Committee, Miss Catherine Howe sent me with the flyer today. The Seminole Nation of Oklahoma Princess Etiquette classes are still being held, and so the next ones will be at the Seminole Nation Mission Gym. There on the mission grounds. The next one will be August 13th, and then the fourth one will be August 27th. So make sure you guys swing by. And then she wanted to give a special shout out to the Junior Miss Indian Oklahoma, Navy Yaholar. Navy is Marcia Chibetty's granddaughter. I know a lot of you guys know Marcia, and she is Junior Miss Oklahoma right now. So congratulations there. And she's been coming and helping and sharing her experiences being princess as well. So, and then that's all getting ready for Seminole Nation Days again, the third weekend in September. I think we're waiting for a agenda to come out here pretty soon, and at least that's what Mark told us, that there's one getting ready to be released to us. So,
all right, I'm excited.
Let's go to birthdays, Delaney.
All right. Start us off: Leela Spotted Crow, Tommy Taylor, Karen McGirt, Alex Fish, Christopher Jones, Talia King, Cordell King, Jolie Fish, Anita Factor, Tabitha Vaughn, Deanne Nero, Janitzka Nita Fatsky, Fuli Owagachas, and also a special shout out to Robert Gentry and Robin Dingman. Shout out to the happy couple.
Because why? They got married, right? We're just giving random people shout outs. No, it's just because they got married. So congratulations. And so now sitting beside me is Anhissi, Jake Tiger. Jake, welcome to the radio show this morning.
Howdy, everybody.
Hey, that's oh, yeah, you got your theme music. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's already coming through.
Nice.
And so we got to get our customary snap real quick. All right. So, Jake, a lot's been going on. You've been a very busy man.
Very busy.
So let's just give our listening audience a background on who you are, what you do, and tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I work for the Historic Preservation Office. I'm the cultural specialist. Most of what I do is a lot of outreach and education. Just trying to tell an accurate and respectful narrative of the Seminole people and the Southeastern peoples. And it's the best job on the whole entire planet. I can't see myself doing anything else. But yeah, we've been pretty busy. Whenever you get the chance, head out to the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum in Oklahoma City. I just installed an entire regalia of Osceola, and it's the only one in the entire state of Oklahoma. So when you get the chance, for sure, check it out.
All right, and then how long did it take you to work on that?
That took me about a whole year because everything was hand sewn.
Oh man. It looked good. I remember seeing the pictures. Our media specialist Josiah went out there, took some pictures. It looked really good, and looked like you had a good turnout. News Channel 5 was there, and did some interviews, and so watched all them, and so congratulations on that.
Yeah, it's good. A lot of people are gonna, outside the Seminole Nation, are gonna know the history of the Seminoles and Osceola, and it's kind of a bigger installment because that whole room they're gonna change it out and make it a southeastern room. They're gonna we're kind of changing the narrative of not glorifying the West, but the tragedies of how the West came about was they moved all the indigenous peoples out of the way so they can pave the ways for the West to expand.
So let's just real quick kind of talk about everything in the outfit. You had the coat, right? The long coat?
Yeah, so the whole entire outfit is reproduced off a painting off of Robert John Curtis of Osceola in 1838 when he was captured and brought to Fort Moultrie and Charleston, South Carolina. So that's where the whole inspiration of that came from.
And let's talk about the pieces. What all pieces are in the display?
So I made a pair of red leggings, moccasins, a bandolier bag, a coat, a silk vest, a linen white shirt, and a turban. And I had a Choctaw buddy of mine who made the gorgets, the 3-tiered gorgets for those. And that's basically about it. It's
you say that's about it, but man,
yeah,
that is an entire outfit. So yeah, like I said, congratulations. The photos that I've seen and the videos I've seen look great, and man, I can't wait to see what else you have in store. What's next?
So for what's next is the Gilcrease Museum. In 2024, which is kind of the projected date, is they're going to build a new Gilcrease Museum. So the whole thing right now has been torn down. You drive by there, it's nothing. So that's the next installment is a Seminole man and woman's outfit from kind of in between 1820s, 1840s.
You know, the last time we was at Gilcrease, they was telling us that they are moving everything, getting ready to keep building.
Mm-hmm.
So that whole building was coming down.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it since then. So let's talk about man, I just went blank. Oh yeah, the new pictures that you took when you went up north a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that was
wet plate.
Yeah, wet plate photography.
Man.
So and that's actually kind of going to tie into my Did You Know for later. But yeah, so the photos, I had a world-known photographer. He messaged me and asked me if I'd come up to do a wet plate for free, and I said, yeah, why not? And he told me where he was located. I was at North Dakota. I was like, man, I got to drive all the way. So I drove all the way up there on my little Jeep, but it was a fun drive, and the photos are now going to be at the collections at the Oklahoma Historical Society in Oklahoma City, so that's going to be really neat. And the cool thing about those photos, wet plate, it's done on silver, not on film. And so those photos will never deteriorate at all. When you look at a photo from 1890 and it's kind of looking all raggedy already, well, wet plate doesn't tarnish. So that photo is gonna look the same as it did 100 years from now, as it looked the day we took it of.
So in about 300 years, when society has been wiped out by the next asteroid and someone finds this piece of silver in the ground, it's going to be Jake Tiger.
Yeah.
Might outlast all of us. Good deal. So are we ready for it? Did you know?
Yeah.
You want to go ahead? Oh, hang on. Our the world famous engineer, Dennis Burton, has music for you. Take it away.
So the Did You Know for today is, and it kind of ties into my story about the 1856 treaties and the wet plate I did. So the inspiration behind that was the photographs from 1852 was of Billy Bowlegs. You ever seen those really cool black and white photos where he's sitting in that chair holding a rifle, or he's standing up, or the delegation of John Jumper and Abraham and Billy Bowlegs? All those were wet plate photography. And the reason why those photos were taken were in Washington, D.C. during negotiations for the 1856 treaty.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, the very authentic Did You Know? The man behind the facts. Brought to you by Jake Tiger with the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma Historic Preservation Office. So Mado, Jake, for... usually I say that anyway, but now I'm getting to see you face to face. But for that Did You Know segment. So, man, we've been having some good feedback regarding the Did You Know statements.
Oh, nice.
And so we got to keep doing that. We appreciate you sending over all the information. And, you know, you're sitting there talking about that delegation. There's that wet plate right there. Yep. And so, if you ever wanted to know anything, I think people are starting to realize just how much knowledge is up there in your head right now, Jake. So you've got all the dates down, and very important date just happened to come on Sunday, and talking about the Seminole Day of Independence. So let's talk about that a little bit.
So recently on Sunday, the Seminole Nation recognized and observed what we call Independence Day. And what that entails is, on August 7th, 1856, the Seminole Nation was recognized as a sovereign nation in the United States. And the treaty was with the federal government and the Muskogee Creeks. And to kind of furthermore on why the Creeks were involved, when the Seminoles were brought to Indian Territory, we were hosted at Fort Gibson, and we had been there for a very long time, and we weren't given any lands immediately, and we were there for probably about a good 15 years or so. And of course people did, venture off, but the whole event of that was the federal government wanted they tried to get the Seminoles and the Creeks to live in the same same reservation, and at the time the Seminoles didn't want that. They wanted to be our own entity. So there became negotiations of the Seminoles getting their own lands here west of the Mississippi that we can call our own, and we can be governed by ourselves. And it was a pretty long process, but fortunately it did happen for us. It was a lot of negotiations going up to Florida and to D.C. John Jumper had frequently went to Florida to try to convince Billy Bowlegs to come down to Oklahoma and settle here. And one of the things about that story, the 1856 treaties that led up to that, was a famous Seminole warrior, Kawakaji. At the time, he became impatient and unhappy with the conditions of the Seminoles because we didn't have our lands, and he didn't want to live with the Creeks. So him and his group moved down to Coahuila, Mexico, and started a settlement down there. And they'd been there for, I'd say, about 10 years until he passed, and then a lot of Seminoles came back up this way. But there were some accounts of Seminoles still being in Texas and Mexico at the time. If you go to the Texas archives, you'll see Seminole scouts fighting against Kickapoos. But yeah, that's kind of like a little side story of that. But the whole 1856 treaty, there's 27 articles in it, so it's a pretty lengthy treaty when you read about it. But mostly the important parts of it was being recognized as a sovereign nation, having our own council house, a light horse, and have no interference from any outside government besides the Seminole Nation. And it's pretty tremendous how determined the Seminole people were back then to make sure the Seminole Nation was heading towards a betterment and building our own life here west of the Mississippi. And then we had our land base, which is north and south of the Canadian rivers, and west of the 100th meridian. So and then we had and over time that land base got smaller after the 1866 treaty, and then the Dawes Act of 1898 as well, or 1890, I believe.
And something that a lot of people may not know, the Seminole Nation is the only tribe, if I'm not mistaken, to have to buy their land base back.
Yeah, they bought their land back in the 1890s. It was probably about half of Seminole County, and they had to repurchase it.
After being forced to sell
the
land out west.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, yeah. So a lot of history that people don't know.
Yeah, and the cool thing is about the 1856 treaty, if you look at the maps on the Oklahoma Historical Society on their website, they have the maps, the original maps of the reservational boundaries. And the cool thing is the Seminole Nation's original jurisdiction ran from where we're sitting at right now in Seminole County, Wewoka, all the way out west to Woodward, almost to the Texas border. But at that time, if we still had it to this day, just think of how prosperous the Seminole Nation would be, because we had Midwest City, Oklahoma City, Yukon, and Moore, and Norman, all under the jurisdiction of the Seminole Nation.
Yep. Right there in the middle of Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All those areas right there.
You know, kind of to backtrack just a little bit, we were talking about when removal first happened, and you know, one of the stops was in Fort Gibson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've made a few trips out to Fort Gibson, and you can go out there and literally see history
mm-hmm.
with the buildings that are out there, because those buildings were made by Seminole people, Creek people, and you can almost take a look back in time and see the conditions. You
mm-hmm.
can see where they were forced to stay at. You can see those lands out there. And
Yeah. Fort Gibson, if you go across the visitor center, there's a 2-story sandstone building that was built by Seminoles in 1837. They pulled that sandstone from the Illinois River. One of the cabins out there, they turned it into like a trading post. That's where actually Zachary Taylor stayed at during the International Treaty Council of 1843. So there's a lot of history that goes there. And right now at the stockade was actually bigger. At one time they pulled it back because they built a railroad through it, but there was archaeological digs, and they dug up for that railroad. They were finding trade beads and silver all over the place.
Because when you're there for a long time, you lose things. There's things that's on the ground, and
one of the a few times I went out there, he doesn't work there anymore, but he was one of the guides out there, and he showed us where Micanubby, where his camp was, and Alligator, where his camp was settled at. And even though we went down to the cemetery, and we debunked a myth, because there was a person named by Billy Bowlegs that died during the Civil War, and a lot of people think that's our Billy Bowlegs, but we turned out to be a Cherokee person.
Oh, okay. So we don't have too much time left. What else would we like to discuss about Independence Day? We know that the celebration that we had in plan had to be rescheduled. So
yeah, unfortunately, we had to cancel it. We all got COVID, and that was not a fun deal. I hated it. Probably the worst sickness I ever got before. But we're trying our best to make up for what we missed out on. We were all super excited to have an in-person one, and we're planning to do door prizes and have food out there. And just unfortunately, COVID just came up out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting. I thought we were done with it, but
when that happens in a smaller department like that, man, it spreads pretty quick. So, anything else that you'd like to say about Independence Day?
Like I said, it's 27 articles in the treaty, but please just read it. You can find it online, and not just that treaty, just learn all of your treaty rights. You got to know how to protect yourself mentally against the federal government whenever they want to challenge your sovereignty. Always learn your treaty rights. And that's how we strengthen our governments and future generations.
And you talk about that, and the first headline on the Choga Delaney, Castro Huerta versus Oklahoma. So all that goes into it.
Absolutely.
And then also there's ICWA cases coming up in the Supreme Court in the future that's going to play a big role in how our children are even being taken care of.
Yep.
And so definitely know your rights, know your treaties, read your constitutions, get in contact with your Seminole Nation band reps and your band chiefs. If you have any questions, they're always wanting to help, and so give them a phone call. And Jake, what else you got in store right now?
Oh, we're just getting ready for Seminole Nation Days. We're making all kinds of phone calls, trying to get demonstrators out here. Having Southeastern demonstrators. Got a few buddies of mine that are going to come out and make it more Southeastern than having powwows and carnival rides. So we're trying to revert back to being Southeastern people for Nation Days.
Are you going to set up a camp this year?
I would love to. So far, I've been told I'm in charge of the traditional dress contests and other stuff. But the department is going to have a booth set up, kind of giving history of the Miccosukee Academy. It's one of our big projects right now. Mark and I have been working on a documentary. I've been getting research and photographs from OHS, our own personal collection, and from the Western collections at OU. So this is a pretty big project. I'm super excited how it's going to turn out. And after we get done with Miccosukee Academy, we'll do Imahawga next.
Okay. Yeah, I've been seeing some of the photos come through, and man, you see them young ones out there, and and just where the building's set at, and trying to figure out how it's set out there, and we've even talked about doing some drone work out there as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Pretty excited about it and telling that story, and I can't wait to kind of see the finished product. So,
absolutely.
What else? Any shout outs you want to give out to your coworkers?
Hey, everybody over at the office. Hope y'all doing well. I'll see you in a little bit.
After HPO buys our lunch, then we'll be good, right? All right. Well, Jake, I think that about does it, unless you have any last words.
No, I just appreciate it. Thanks for having me out here.
All right. Again, we appreciate you and all the did you know statements that you give us. Again, it's like seeing Seminole royalty in here, but it's just Jake though. So as a reminder, I'm going to go ahead and go into my outro. As a reminder, you can catch the rebroadcast of this radio show on the Facebook page, YouTube, and tribal website, sno-nsn.gov, for the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma every Wednesday around 8. If you have news or announcements you want to share on the community and events Facebook page, please email the communications staff at seminolemedia@gmail.com or call 405-652-7251. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, tune in every Tuesday at 11 a.m. right here on KWSH 97.7 FM or the legendary 1260 a.m. For radio producer Mark Williams, Dennis Burton, Josiah Jimboy, Delaney Pennock, Mr. Jake Tiger, I'm Jeremy Fultz. We'll see you next week. Mado and Jihi Jahlis.